Hello everyone, so the grand final is only a day away and I mean, as always, the odds are ticking for who potentially could win the contest and we're going to talk about the top 10 in there. Let's put the quick disclaimer in now, the odds don't mean fact, okay? These are not going to necessarily be the top 10, they're not gospel, okay? So if your favourite isn't in these top 10, don't worry too much, it still might do well. That being said, let's go on to the top 10 in the odds. So at 10, I'm going to ask this question to Jess. Who the hell is it?
I wonder who the hell it could be. It's obviously got to be Austria, right?
Yes, the hell it is Austria.
Based on the song itself and like the staging, this doesn't surprise me so much because it's a very great catchy song with a great message and they perform it very well. But based on its running order, it does surprise me a little bit.
Surprise you a little bit. Tommy, do you see this with its running order still get challenging for the top 10?
I think so. I think it's still reasonable to believe that it'll be top 10 in jury and some televotes. I think so, yeah. I think so.
Possible, Dylan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's definitely top 10 material for the televotes. I'm a bit more worried about the jury though, but I don't get the ranking, the running order. It seems weird to have Austria opening the show, and I think it will cost them several points that might be precious for victory.
I do think it might cost them points, the order. What I will say is, and I said this in the prediction video, I think the staging has tried to make it more jury-friendly with its slick professionalism as much as the comedy. So, if it pays off, that could help in the jury sense. So, at number 9, clearly we've still got a chance of winning it, Jess. It's the UK. Yeah. Let's come to the Irishman first, actually, for this. Tommy, what are your thoughts?
I don't think UK are in the running for top 10 anymore. I don't.
So now on to number 8. Wait, no, okay.
Were you silenced or were you silent? I mean, I would love to. In terms of personal preferences, probably it would be in my top 10, but I think other countries have risen above.
Okay, so Dylan, we're going from the opener to the closer. Do you think May closing the show might help it push a bit higher up in the order?
Actually, yes, I do believe that, and she has been in my top 10 from the very beginning, and I think that she will perform well with the jury and the audience. Also, the crowd here is on fire every time the song is played, and I think this can give her, the extra motivation, a little bonus points whenever you have a football match and you're playing home, you have the supporters to boost you, and I think this is going to help her.
Of course, top 10 for a while. We expect your vote tomorrow, Dylan. Jess, of course, let's come to the Brit.
I mean, I remain hopeful that we can get another top 10 finish. I think performing last after Croatia is maybe not the best position for us to be performing. Then again, May does have very good staging, great graphics on stage, and if she can nail the vocals, I think a left side finish could be achievable.
You think
I hope.
We all hope. Even non-Brits hope. No, I think of all the people in the final, May has the biggest range of where she could finish. I'm a bit cautious of her at the moment. First of all, closing the show isn't necessarily a guaranteed good thing. Actually, 26 is one of the worst performing slots in like the last 20 years, weirdly. Just Senate, to be fair, usually they put a big 5 there, which maybe in the last 10 years hasn't helped, even though the increased reputation. I think the staging concept and the effort everyone's put in is top notch, regardless of the position. We have really tried, regardless of what happens. I think that she's slowly getting better and better, and as I said in a different video, she's on vocal rest, so when it comes to that final, hopefully there'll be that big pop. And I do think home support will really help, especially closing in your hometown. The crowd reaction is going to be incredible. So yeah. I'm hopeful that this could still challenge for left-hand side. I wouldn't necessarily say winner, as biased as I am, but we'll have to see. I still think 9th, it's just about possible. Just about
incredibly likeable as well.
Incredibly likeable. What I always say, the BBC in the UK sends some of the most likeable contestants every year, and I stand by that. So at number 8 now, we go from one big 5 to another, and it is Italia.
Oh, great. So Italy is definitely a top 10 material. I think it has been underrated for ages in this competition. I don't know why, considering how Marcus' vocal are close to perfection, and this is gonna get a lot of points from the juries. I'm not so sure that it will appeal to the televote as much as the other Italian entries, but it's definitely top 10 material for me.
Tommy, do you echo Dylan's thoughts?
I do, I agree. It will be in the top 10 because we've seen entries like this from Italy do extremely well before. Like, even last year, it was it's not the same kind of song, but, you know, that similar kind of package. They have really unique staging as well. Jury, definitely they'll be at the top. Televote, I think he's very attractive, which won't do him any harm. And yeah, the song is beautiful, so yeah.
And Jess, what are your thoughts on Italy? Because to be fair, when we talk about a winner or potential top 5, Italy maybe doesn't get brought up enough, does it?
Yeah, quite sadly it doesn't. But I think Italy definitely could easily be top 5, maybe top 3 with the juries. But I don't think televoters are going to go for the song as much. And I would kind of predict maybe a similar result to what they achieved last year in Turin. Top 10 for sure, yes.
Top 10 for sure. I echo a lot of this. This will be challenging for top 10. Jury, I mean, Marco's vocals is always incredible. He could sing a Chinese takeaway menu out and it'd be amazing. You know what? I reckon this could still do okay with the televote. Italy usually do well with the televote overall. I can't remember the last time they got less than 100 televotes, to be honest. It's been a while. They have a good diaspora overall. And you know what? The staging is actually a little more ambitious than usual for Italy. They've actually brought... I feel bad saying this as a dig. They've actually brought a prop on for this time, which a little bit rare for them. But yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing that might harm them is they are in sort of that first half where there's a lot of contenders around them.
Yeah.
Sweden's not too far away from them. Actually, they're sandwiched right between two away from Sweden and Finland. Maybe that will not help, but hey, there is always an audience for a simple stripped-back ballad, especially an Italian ballad like Marco is sending. We're on a bit of a run of the Big Five because we got another one coming up here, and it is España, who've actually dropped down a little bit to number 7. Jess, what are your thoughts on Blanca Paloma?
Well, I've said it once and I'll say it again. I do see her as a potential surprise winner. I think this could definitely challenge the jury vote and could be a potential jury vote winner. Televote, I think, would be lower top 10 or mid-table with the televote, but I think a top 10, maybe top 5 finish overall is definitely achievable.
Right, and Tommy, you were actually at Benidorm Fest to see Blanca Paloma's staging. It's very similar to that national final performance. Do you reckon that's the correct call?
Well, this is very strange because coming into the rehearsals, I thought she would be third, top 3, based on the Benidorm Fest performance. But having seen what she'll present in Liverpool, it's lost some of the magic. I don't know why. It's lost some of the intimacy or some of the part where she draws you into her world. I think it's still possible that it'll be top 10, but not top 5 or top 3 anymore.
That's interesting because obviously Spain for the first time in ages got their top 3 last year. They got back into contention. So would top 10 be necessarily a bad result for Spain, dropping down a little bit, or would it be a sign of continued success for it, do you reckon, Dylan?
Well, Spain here is trying to avoid what happened to France last year. So, you know, going from bottom, then to top, and then bottom again. So I still think, though, that Spain is top 5 material. The song is great. The performance will amaze the jury for sure. And also the Spanish delegation has put a lot of efforts into this preparation, the pre-parties, etc. So definitely Spain is standing a chance. And I do agree with Jess. It might even be like a surprise winner, a dark horse, in my opinion.
I sort of agree with you two, actually. I still have Spain contending for top 5. One thing we've got to remember is, as much as you're saying that some of the lustre has lost from the Benidorm Fest, we've got to remember our first impressions watching that Benidorm Fest will be very similar to the ones the general audience will see on Saturday, which was wow. A lot of people will have that wow. Spain's song itself is unique. It will be completely different to everything else in the contest. It will have its own unique audience, which will help with the televote. And yeah, if juries can't appreciate Blanca's vocals, I'm not sure what they can appreciate. Yeah. That is really true. God, how many Big Five were we going to now? Because at 6, I'm coming to you first, Dylan, because I'm pretty sure you can tell why.
Well, I have a little idea. Of course, it's France, right? Yeah. So Zarra has dropped a little bit from the previous day. She was probably top 3 or top 4 at some point. Now she's top 6. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, the performance seems amazing. The vocals were a bit weak in the rehearsal. I think that she's trying to have some vocal rests for the big night. But really, in the end, it's up to the perception of the audience, and I can't tell how it will go. France usually can have high ranking in the odds and completely crash. We remember Madame Monsieur, for instance. We remember Bilal Hassani as well. So it's a gamble with France, like every time. But I do believe that this is top 10 material, probably around the 6th or the 7th position, which would be a good result for the French delegation considering the many efforts they have put in this year.
Many thoughts. One thing that cannot be denied, Tommy, about France this year is, regardless of what you think about the execution of the staging, they are certainly trying to get that potential win.
Absolutely, 100% for effort, budget, style, all of those things. I think similar to Italy, they have like a perfect balance of appeal to juries and appeal to the public, like very poppy but also very stylish and high quality and authentic. But yeah, I would see like 6th or 7th for France this year.
So 7th.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah. Jess, there was a period of time actually though when the first rehearsals came out and the photos came out that France were contended for the win.
Oh yeah.
Do you reckon the actual live performance, seeing it visually, has dimmed their chances a bit?
I would say a little bit, yes. Based on the photos from the first rehearsal and, in my opinion, the vocals we heard, I was calling this a potential winner. But as we've seen her kind of performance in the semi-final, her vocals, in my opinion, were not as good and it didn't seem to have the same effect on stage. And now that she's performing in 6th place and, in my opinion, doesn't have the best running order, I don't think I see France as a winner. I still see them top 10, maybe just challenging the top 5, possibly, but top 10 for sure.
Top 10 for sure. I agree with you in that sense. I think the problem is when you take the visuals of like just photos out, you see how she lacks movement and she can't really move because she's on a big pedestal. Half the time with the end, if she just sort of feels like she's on the verge of wobbling off, sadly. Not that it doesn't look safe, it looks fine, but there's just not enough room to move around for such a like upbeat dance song, which works at times, but after a while it gets a bit stagnant. But that being said, visually, it still has that wow factor from like snapshots and the France flag at the end with the, what's the correct phrase?
Pyro curtain?
Pyro curtain, yes. Not
Pyro
the...
curtain, okay.
Well, it's either that or the golden thing, Tommy, which I'm not going to say. Because I can't think the correct phrasing.
Where's the Eiffel Tower?
Where's...
Well,
Where's the Eiffel Tower?
The dress is the Eiffel Tower.
She is the Eiffel Tower, no?
Come on.
They've got to save something for the LED background for the jury points, Tommy. Come on.
But you know, we switched the Eiffel Tower for the French flag, so in the end, we find our way.
Okay.
It's got to do something French, yeah. I'd agree. Top 10 is definitely within reach, and that would be good for France to be top 10 2 of the last 3 years. So let's come to the top 5, and maybe one that's surprisingly still in the top 5. It is the Queen of Kings herself, Norway, with Alessandra. Tommy, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm not thinking top 5 anymore. I don't know why. Maybe if it's just that I'm used to the national final performance or something like that, and it hasn't changed that much. But yeah, I'm thinking more like 9, 10.
9, 10. So still top 10. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Tommy. To me, it's top 10 material, but bottom top 10, let's say. Probably the performances. I mean, there is something lacking from the national selection, that sparkle, that kind of energy. I mean, all the artists are absolutely tired after this marathon, but it doesn't match with the message of the song in the end. The vibes are just a bit off.
Okay, maybe to play devil's advocate for you, Jess. This is one where in MGP this swept both the jury and the televote. And also it is in the second half where there isn't as many as the favourites and also got a fairly decent slot in number 20. Do you think that could help it?
I think the running order definitely is a kind of a good factor in this. I think I would have been more worried if it was in the first half. I think that she still sounds great on stage and looks great. I'm personally a fan of the staging, and I could easily see this being top 10 with the televoters because this is the kind of thing they would go for, and I could see them maybe doing very well with the televoters and kind of maybe not as well with the jury, similar to what we saw last year and in 2019. I do think a left side finish overall is achievable.
Left side, I'd agree with this. Maybe this could be a surprise where it misses out on the left side, but I still think overall it's fairly safe because Alessandra's got overall great charisma. The staging concept overall good. It's just overall a good package, I think, which will work, but maybe not 5. And then I think the top 4 personally, because you nicked my joke back on Tuesday, I'm going to do it now, is a phenomenal top 4. Because number 4, she's climbed a little bit in the last couple of days. Israel, Tommy.
100%. Yeah, based on her, I'd say she probably won her semi-final. She'll smash it in the televote. Jury probably not as high, but yeah, I think she can reach for top. I was saying top 3 earlier. Actually, I think she could be up there.
top 3. I was saying for a while, Dylan, that this is not a song for the studio. This is a song for Eurovision and the stage. Would you agree that that's come across?
Yeah, completely. In her semi-final, she was absolutely on fire. The crowd was cheering, the staging was amazing, and I do believe that this is the kind of performance you want to see live to enjoy it, but on TV it must be absolutely amazing as well. So overall, I think it will slay the televote for sure. I'm a bit more concerned about the jury though, and I think that overall it is top 5 material.
Top 5 material. That's interesting actually, Jess, because since 2015 Israel have only come in the top 10 once. Obviously they did win the whole thing that year, but they're not as maybe consistent as some Eurovision fans think they are. Is this Israel's path back into the top 5, top 10?
Oh, 100%. I think Noah is going to get Israel back into the top 5 this year. Televoters are going to love this, and I think maybe it could be kind of a similar situation to Eleni Ferreira, kind of doing very well with the televote, but maybe kind of slightly less well with the juries, but still doing good enough with both to achieve a top 5 finish. I think that's possible.
I think top 5 very much achievable. Great running order as well. It's sort of out here on its own. Didn't even mean to do that pun. In that second half in terms of favourites. And you know what? As much as we're saying it might not do as well with the jury, people didn't think Slow Mo was going to do that well with the jury last year, and it actually did quite well.
She's a great singer. Yeah.
Great singer as well, yeah. And well, it's just about whether the juries want to see her dance, and then if they do, they'll vote. So let's come to the top 3. In third is one maybe people aren't talking about as much as the favourites, but it has been a constant in that top 3. It is last year's winners, Ukraine.
Okay. This is a bit of a surprise to me, I think. I think they're coming with a great package on stage. They've got an incredible staging. They sound great and they look great. But I personally don't see this song as winning material. And I think maybe kind of lower top 10 is achievable just because of how good the song and the staging is. But I personally don't see them doing the double. And I think if it was to win, it would be because of the situation going on. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by this one.
Yeah, I would say that, Tommy, coming to you, would you say that more external factors are why this is higher than potentially the actual package we're seeing on stage itself?
I don't know. I mean, what I would say is I think the staging is better than the song. The song is very mediocre, actually. So it's definitely not a song you would say is top 3. And I think this is where betting odds fall down, because betting odds, obviously, they're looking at trends and what happened last year. But I'm strictly in the camp of Kalush Orchestra was like a winning song regardless last year. So I don't think you can just say that this year, for the same reasons, for the same external factors, that Ukraine would be, in the top 3. One thing that will be in their favour is that I think they'll have an awful lot of expat votes now that many Ukrainians have had to relocate, sadly. So that'll give them a bit of a lift, but top 3, that's really unlikely for me. Even top 10, I think, is unlikely.
Unlikely. To be fair, one thing that we can say about Ukraine is they always up their game when it comes to staging. They can turn mediocre entries into staging. Like, look at 2011 comes to mind. That was one that was looked in the middle, then eventually came 4th. And this is one that did well with both televote and jury when it came to that fairly strong Ukraine national final back in December. How do you see this faring, Dylan?
Honestly, I have mixed feelings. I love the staging. It's great. Ukraine is doing the best they can, and they always do it an amazing way. Now, when it comes to the song, I agree with Tommy. It's not my cup of tea, to say it politely, and I don't think that the song is going to appeal to the voters. But of course, you can't ignore the sympathy factor that will play out for Ukraine, and it's good for them. But I would say maybe bottom top 10, yes.
Bottom top 10. I'd agree. I think this will get top 10. I think this has a decent amount of jury support potentially. I'm more confident, weirdly, on jury support for this than I was for Kalush Orchestra, but that's
really?
I wasn't sure. Kalush Orchestra is a bit more of an out there style,
right?
Maybe, but this could easily get less than that. But just going in, I've got a little bit more. And look, it's not going to get 400 points, but there will be a decent amount of televote, which I've jinxed it now. No, this will get a decent amount of televotes, which I think will push this into the top 10. So now we come to the top 2, and there's no surprises who these are. The second one is Käärijä Cha Cha Cha, Finland. I would say, Jess, would you say overall that while this is second, amongst the Eurovision fandom, is this the overall fan favourite?
I mean, it's a very split camp in the Eurovision fandom. I mean, I think I'm going to be on the fence again and just say within the fandom it's kind of, neck and neck between Sweden and Finland. I personally would choose Finland over Sweden, and I can completely understand why they're second in the odds. It makes perfect sense. They've got the song, the staging, the performer, and now they've got the running order. I do think this could be enough to overtake Loreen.
You do. I mean, going on to the running order, it closed the semi-final, and now it is closing the first half. Literally, they can't have better running orders if they try, Tommy.
Yeah, they've been very lucky, but also I don't think they actually need the look. I think wherever they were put, they were going to top the televote. I think they're definitely topping the televote. I would put any money on that. I think what is the variable factor is the juries. How are juries going to show up for Finland? And I actually have no idea. I have no idea.
How do you see them faring with the juries, Dylan?
Well, might be complicated for Käärijä actually to get a lot of support from the juries. I think there is a hype, even including amongst the music industry in Europe, because he's bringing something refreshing and something that we haven't seen in a while in the Eurovision. So it might appeal to some of the juries, but on the other hand, it might also be a bit too crazy for many people who have maybe a more traditional thinking vision of the Eurovision, and then it will definitely topple the people's votes.
So you're thinking a bit too crazy, a bit too party. I don't think Käärijä knows those definitions. I would agree in the sense that I feel like the one thing that might actually harm Käärijä's chances with the jury is not necessarily the song, it might be his vocals, which have been fine, they've been serviceable with the song, but they're not going to be wowing people.
Yeah.
I think this definitely, it's a contender for the televote winner. I think this will win the televote and potentially won the semi-final because of that factor. And the staging is just so wow, WTF. I think out of anyone, this has got the best reaction in the Eurovision Village, in the M&S Bank Arena when I've been there. People love this. And all I would say is if the vocals are serviceable enough where they shouldn't harm the chances, I think if the juries do mark this down, they might need to reevaluate what they're looking for in a certain Eurovision song, depending on what they put. I'm not obviously going to tell them off, but I'm saying like, this is good quality, even though it's not the traditional sound you hear.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Juries, they have 4 criteria, like vocals, presentation, uniqueness of the song, and something else. I don't know.
Possibly.
So one of them is vocals. But then when it's a rap song, how do you say that's not a good rap, that is a good rap, when it's not vocals really? So yeah, it's strange.
Who knows? I mean, two songs with rap in the last couple of years, but to both won, so we'll see.
There you go.
And then, so we come to number 1. I just want to go for the winning chance difference here. So Finland are on 22%, a whopping 30% higher on 52%. It is Loreen from Sweden with Tattoo. As much as we say that this is a 2-horse race, I don't want to say this. As a Käärijä fan, I don't want to say this, but are we sort of kidding ourselves that anyone else than Loreen could win?
Well, yeah, Käärijä, of course. I mean, Loreen and Tattoo is the whole package. They've got everything working in their favour, everything going for them. And I think, obviously this is a huge favourite within the Eurovision fandom, but for the casual viewer that maybe don't know Loreen or don't know Tattoo or Melodifestivalen, are they going to love it as much as the fandom does? Whereas with kind of Finland, it's very crazy and out there, which might get people thinking that was great fun, I want to see that again. So definitely she's still a contender to win, and she will definitely finish somewhere in the top 3, I'm sure. But I'm not 100% sure if she's got it in the bag.
I can't believe there's now 2 of you that had the opportunity to use Crazy Party as a slogan, and you've both missed that opportunity. You're in a video with me, guys, come on! Tommy, Sweden seems to run away winner with the odds. Do you concur?
Yeah, I do. I mean, when I saw her performing at Melfest in her heat, I immediately said, okay, that's the winner. That's it. It's over. That's it. Nobody else can catch that. That's it. Wow. And I still feel the same.
Is it almost the fact that there doesn't feel like there is a box that isn't unchecked with this as compared to like other entries which people might rank higher? This sort of does feel, as Jess said, the complete package, Dylan, doesn't it?
I think she has the complete package. Now, my only question is about the public reaction, because as Jess stressed, the public that is viewing the Eurovision and that has been watching none of the previous shows before and hasn't been listening to the music for months like we have, probably doesn't remember her from her previous victory. One thing. A second thing, you have also to take into consideration the national commentators. So, for for example, in some countries you might have some TV anchors that will stress the fact that she already won, that she has been the favorite for ages, and then it might in the end turn off some people who say, well, she's been announced like the winner for the past 3 months, so why bother voting for her? Instead, I'm voting for someone else.
Wow.
So this could also play against her, but in the end, I'm sorry for Käärijä, but I think the crown is going to Sweden.
I feel very similar. One thing that they might have forgotten her Euphoria days, but the people that have put her, I believe it's just outside the top 100 on the global Spotify charts, won't have forgotten Tattoo. I think this is already an incredible hit. It's already got more streams than Euphoria. So even the general audience, I think, will appreciate this. And this definitely has a universal sound that appeals to both televote and jury. It's a complete package. While I don't think it's necessarily a televote winner, it won't be as far away from Käärijä to really matter, I don't think. So yeah, Sweden being that high, maybe it's not going to win by that much of a margin, but I think it will win overall. So that's what we think of the odds. Again, they're not gospel, guys, don't worry. If you don't agree with the odds, or even us, we're, as much as we want to be, we're not the fact people here.
Yeah.
It is all about what happens on Saturday night. Let us know what you guys think in the comments about the odds. Should there be another song in there that isn't in the top 10 that you'd like to see? Let us know, and check back in for more content from us between now and the grand final on Saturday. See you guys then.